Well, hello everyone again. Welcome to Breakfast with Evo. We're out on the driving range. It's the most exciting day of the year so far because my brand new JPX 921 irons have arrived. Taking them out the box and they're now in the bag. I've got 3 brand new wedges in there. That's the new Raw Series T20 X100 shafts, 1/4 of an inch longer than standard. They feel absolutely amazing. Look at these bad boys. These are the absolute business. And today the theme for the program is that we're going to teach you how to strike your irons better, to stop you from hitting those iron shots heavy and to feel as if you're compressing the ball a lot more. We'll get set up, we've got the TrackMan, we're going to show you a couple of really good tips to make sure that you hit those irons a lot better. Well, okay, here we are. We're getting ready to go with the iron striking. But before we do, if you're a member of Tandridge and you played in the autumn meeting at the weekend, you might have had a go on our competition, buy a dozen balls, play to your handicap, get a dozen balls free if you do. And anyone who went in that offer also got the chance to win this bag. So keep watching, because at the end of today's session, we're going to actually be drawing out a ticket from the box to find out who won the Titleist Tour bag in the competition at the weekend. So keep watching that. For now, let's get on with the iron striking and let's hopefully change your life in terms of the way that you're hitting the irons off the tight fairways here at Tandridge. Okay, well, we talked about striking your irons better today, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do with that with 2 simple to know things. And if you get these 2 things right, you're going to really start striking your iron shots off tight fairways, any type of grass, may it be thick, you're in the rough, you want the ball to pop out, but you've been hitting them behind, you've not been striking them properly, and therefore causing yourself loss of distance. There's nothing worse than trying to hit into a green that you know you should hit the ball into the middle of, and then you hit it heavy and it just ends up 30 yards short of the green. You're pitching all over again, and that one might result in a heavy shot as well. So this will save you lots and lots of shots if we get that ball striking better. So here we go. This is hint 1. When I set up to the golf ball, this is a 6 iron. We're on the TrackMan, we're getting ready to go, and I'm going to create my backswing. And what I want you to watch in my backswing is the wrist angle that I make as I rotate. So as I turn away, I stay over the ball. Look at my left wrist now as hinged, and as you can see, I'll finish my turn, but now when I come down, I'm going to retain that wrist angle for as long as I possibly can, and only when I get above the golf ball do I now release the club, and that gives me that nice wide follow through. But the key there is that as I retained my hinge, I've managed to keep the club head above my hands. So I'm driving forwards, the golf club is still above my hands at delivery. There's the hinge, into position. You can see where the club head is versus my hand, and my glove has almost reached the ball. And now in that last moment, just before contact, that's when the club's going to release. So the energy from that wrist hinge is transferred into the golf ball, and because the golf club's coming from an elevated position, I'll strike the ball first, not the ground. Remember, we're looking to strike the ball first, then the ground. Ball, ground. Divots come after the golf ball if we're using irons. Even with some sort of hybrids and fairway woods, you might take a divot. That really needs to be taken as well after contact with the ball. So rotate and hinge. I've got that 90-degree hinge in the wrist. I keep that angle for as long as I physically can, and then the golf club is going to release and hit the ball. Now, the reason you may have been hitting it heavy is because your release may be too soon. So let's have a look at that. I've gone up to the top, and now I've released the club too soon. You can see I've lost my wrist angle, So by the time my hands get to delivery, the wrist angle has already been released, and that is going to make me contact that ball right behind. Could be an inch or two, could be even worse, and the club will bounce off the ground. Poor contact, ball loss of distance, so that's no good. So let's have a look at that in a shot where we're going to try and retain that wrist angle. Now I'm set up. So remember, rotate and hinge, turn through the ball. Great strike as I came through. I've taken the ball first, then the ground. We'll have a look at that one in slow motion in a second. That's point one, and we're going to go on to point two in a second. So remember what we did in point one. Keep that wrist angle for as long as we possibly can. In point two now, again, hugely important in terms of what we're actually going to do. So watch on carefully for point two. Well, I'm pleased to say that the shot I hit for you there, as you can see from the slow-mo, I've cracked that ball first, then I've taken the divot a long way in front of the golf ball, and because of it the strike was good. Retained the wrist angle. Let's have a look and see the other contributing factor that made that so easy for me to do. Set up over the ball, and if you look at my rotation, I've turned. Now my left hip, my left knee and my left shoulder have turned out in front of me. And we'd suggest keeping my posture angle, but now I'm in position and I've turned everything off my left side out in front of me, and it's in a great place. From side on, what you'll notice here, there you can see everything's turned out in front of me. In the downswing, I've got to make sure that I now do the same thing. So my right hip and my right shoulder will rotate back out in front of me. And in that movement, as they rotate back out in front of me, you'll see that I'm making them go forward. Now, if I don't rotate everything back out in front of me, you'll see from this position, my hip and my shoulder are now not in front of me, they're actually behind me, and now that's caused me, which I'll show you from the other angle in a second, to actually drop underneath the golf ball. So I'm not getting back up to the ball, I'm actually behind it, and that's going to cause me to hit the ground as well. So from this position here, I've turned everything in front of me. Now watch, now everything's staying behind me. You can see my body angle is changing, and as I create this body angle change, this is what's made me get underneath the ball. I'm going to hit the ground from there. So those two things in particular, one, how we rotate the body. Does the right side come back forward as we start the downswing? It can't come underneath, it must go back out in front of me, and you'll see the difference in the angle of my spine as I rotate through the ball. So that's the other really important thing. Let's have a look at that in a shot. So I've got to remember to make sure that my wrist angle remains set. But on this one, I'm going to talk you through this now. And as my left side comes out in front of the ball, so does now my right. Really good sounding connection, and I've hit the ball first, then the ground, and off it goes. Haven't lost any distance at all. So just to recap on those two tips, create a 90-degree hinge with the wrist in the backswing. Remember, we've got to try to keep that angle for as long as we can in the downswing, almost until after impact, and then the golf club will release naturally. But more importantly also, left side out in front of me, right side out in front of me, and what that does is it stops me tilting. And as you can see, that's the classic way to hit the ground before you hit the ball. Remember, ball ground all the time. Okay, Hope those 2 tips have been really good. You can get those into practice on the driving range, and don't be afraid to put a little T-peg on the ground 3 or 4 inches behind the ball. If you're contacting it properly, you'll miss the T-peg, you hit the ball first, and on it goes. That's it for Breakfast with Evo today, but we are going to look at the draw, so hang on there while I get the box of tickets out now. We're going to draw a ticket, see who's won the Titleist tour bag. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Couple of tips there in terms of striking your irons and really getting you into the middle of those greens as opposed to 30 yards short. It's on with the draw now for the Titleist bag. Here it is, it's a fantastic tour bag, and it was made for the tour players that are playing the US Open this week. I've got the beautiful Mrs. Judy Steeden here with me today. It was Gary that drew the last one out, and Judy's here on the range today. It's a family of practices, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got a box here, it's full of tickets. Whoops, there goes one, thank you Judy. And these tickets have all got numbers on them which correspond to my list of everyone who had a go in the competition on Saturday. So Judy, it is very windy up here today. Can you somehow go in there and find one of those? Thank you very much. Do you want to give me a number?
Number 3.
Number 3, it's an early one. Let's have a little look and see who won. It plays with Pro V1 yellow golf balls. There's not many of those in the golf club, is there, Mr. Gary Smith? But congratulations to Gary Smith. Not only does he live at the golf club, he's now got himself a US Open tour bag as well. Congratulations, Gary. Thank you, Judy. Thank you all for watching. See you all soon on the next episode of Breakfast with Evo.